He was brilliant. I mean, you don't realise how good someone is until you play with them.
Playing with him showed I thought he was a wonderful player. You know, you think good and wonderful is totally different for me in my terms. I think you've got good players and you've got a wonderful player.
One of the best players that I played with.
Without Merse, would we got the top two? I'm not too sure. We still had good players, but he was the icing on the cake for me. He was the difference.
And Middlesbrough, like Nottingham Forest, have bounced back at the first attempt.
Brian Robson was a massive reason why I come up. You know, he's a legend. You know, I think legend's used very loosely in football. When I was growing up, he was a legend. When my agent rang me, I just wanted to put the phone down and ring my dad up, tell my dad, Brian Robson thinks I'm a player, Dad. So, yeah, amazing to play for him. They'd lost like a club legend in Gianluca, so to take his place was a lot of pressure, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, how highly thought of he is here. So that was, yeah, I mean, my debut here was a shocker. Against Charlton was probably one of the worst debuts ever in the history of football, but it picked up after that. But yeah, it was a lot of pressure on me. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, Paul was just, in a game where the game was tight, he would do something unbelievable. You know, his nickname was the Magic Man, and you know, when he comes, you think, oh, why are you called the Magic Man? But then when you see him, some of the stuff he does in training, things he does in games, a little trick, a little pass, a bit of vision, a goal. He would do something every game where if it was tight, Paul would do something and get you out of trouble or score a goal for you, make a brilliant pass for someone else to score a goal. He was just, for the season and a bit, I think he was here. He was incredible. He was everything I hoped he'd be.
One of the best players that I played with, because the best characteristic of him was first touch. He played always with one touch. He had a very good peripheral vision. And this I never played with a player with this kind of characteristic. And it's very important because he see before how to play. He see before everything. This is a great advantage for the strikers. You can avoid this very tight marking in this way.
Training all right. You know, he was okay, Merse. Some days he was absolutely unbelievable, and then some days he'd be strolling around, you know. But again, you know, on Saturdays, wow. I knew he was a very good player, Merse. I'd played against him previously, but playing with him showed I thought he was a wonderful player.
Merson was happy if you know, he was as happy giving an assist as scoring. You know, he was also a provider for goals. He was a fantastic football player, and I think that's and I was actually a bit the same. I saw myself as the same kind of player. I like scoring goals, but it wasn't the most important thing. You know, I just like playing football, and that's why, you know, the first season I loved playing with Juninho, because we could play 1-2s. You know, we played each other. We could set up goals for each other. It was fantastic. Then Merson, he came and Ravanelli left, and I basically found that same kind of, let's say, understanding with Merson, where it wasn't important who scored the goals as long as we scored.
I don't think, if it wasn't for Merse, I don't think we would have got promoted. I'll be honest, I thought he was just that season. I mean, he was absolutely incredible. He really was. He was just creating goals, scoring goals. He would just pull it out the bag for you. And, you know, I mean, he had his demons, don't get me wrong. But in terms of when he was on the pitch, you knew he was a player, and he was a winner. He was a winner. He got angry if it didn't go his way. And
go along with that, he was just a very fun person to have around. You know, he was good value in the dressing room.
I mean, got more confident. You know, as I say, the pressure was on at the start, but the more I got used to it, playing here, and then, yeah, whatever happens, you know, over my career, you know, the one thing I've realised, you're only as good as the players around you, and I was playing with very good footballers here, you know. So yeah, I was fortunate. I played with some very, very good footballers here, and a good leader in Nigel Pearson.
Very, very strong man, quite intimidating, I think, when he played. Very honest, You know, like all of them, if you talk about Robbie Mustoe and Nige and Vickers, and you know what you're getting. You know, there's no fly-by-nights in there. You know, there's no lads that well, it's just, you know, it's a bit windy, or it's a bit sunny, or the rain was in my eyes, or something like that. But I thought Nigel was a leader, better footballer than people probably think. Don't tell him that. Hopefully he doesn't see this, he'll be thinking he was great, but I thought he was, you know, he wasn't just a big head of the ball and a big strong centre back. He could play as well. But we had a lot of leaders in the team, and he was our biggest.
Big inspiration. I remember staying at the Norton Hall at the start when I just signed at the club. Nigel was there also, so I got to know him quite quickly. He was much older than me, of course, but very inspirational. Very, you know, just a good person and a fantastic captain. I mean, I don't honestly think I can remember one single bad game from him. I mean, he always gave everything he had. Yes, we conceded goals, and yes, he was a part of that defense. But you couldn't fault him at not trying. He was always giving 110%.
I think we had a good mix of experience and youth, and I think you saw that with the players that Brian brought in that season as well. We had people, like I said before, Andy Townsend. I mean, Andy had massive experience. He was coming towards the end of his career, but he still had great legs. You know, he would get up and down the pitch. He was the type of player you could rely on week in, week out.
Robbo bought well, you know. He brought in Andy Townsend, who's a phenomenal centre midfield player, plenty of experience. You know, he brought people in along the way, and it was clever the way he done it. You know, it weren't just, you know, get in by him, and then they come and you're like, where are they going to play? It was very well planned out, very well planned.
You know, when you look at Andy Townsend and later on Paul Gascoigne, Michael Thomas, these people had played at the top for a lot of years and knew what they were doing. Maddo knew what he was doing, played really good level, Premier League. So everyone knew the roles and knew how to get the best of everyone else. And then going forward, it was just embarrassing really how many players we could have had with Mikkel, Beck, Paul Merson, Marco Branca, you know, Alan Armstrong, good goal scorer.
I think, you know, sometimes it was the charge of life brigade, you know, both ways. Sometimes we felt like we were just a four stood on the edge of the box trying to stop it, you know. But that's being disrespectful, you know. But we were a front foot team, and as I loved playing with Higgy as well, because you give it to Higgy and I knew something had happened. You don't mind doing all your running, you don't mind throwing your body in, you don't mind heading it, you don't mind a 50-50 challenge. But when you win it and you give it to someone that's supposed to be your game changer, you know, you want them to change games, and I think that's something that we had that season. You know, we did go a bit gung-ho, there's no doubt about it, and there was opportunities if our front men weren't firing, we could get beaten, but it was great to play in. There's no doubt you had to earn your spurs as a defender. There's no doubt about it, but that was part of the job.
Curtis Fleming was brilliant for me, right back. He just used to say to me, "You don't worry about getting back and helping me. You just go and do what you do going forward." And to have someone like that, because most right backs are like, "No, don't you go anywhere. You stay in front of me and give me a bit of cover and that." Not Flem, because Flem was a defender, a proper defender. So it was great having him to be behind you and give me license to go off. So people like that are really important around the team. Obviously, Nigel was a leader. Festa, he was a leader in his own way because he was loopy. He was tough, like tackle anything, real steely determination, passionate, rash at times. But Stevie Vickers, another one who, you know, Rolls Royce of a centre half, really always looked elegant, good with the ball. We had a squad there that, even going through it now, I think, what a good squad that is.
I couldn't believe that stadium was just, you know, sold out crowd. I mean, there was 48,000 in the championship, and it was like a Premier League game. You know, it was fantastic. And I think the first season we played at Roker Park or whatever it was called, against Sunderland, but that was much smaller stadium.
A full house at both grounds, you know, and it's the type of derby game that you want to play in. Everybody wants to play in a derby game, especially if you're from the area. Yeah, they were good games, great games. Even better if you win them. You have the bragging rights for a few weeks, and thankfully we did that.
I think for us, we were thinking quite a bit about ourselves, a lot about ourselves. But you're getting, the breathing down your neck, and for the fans, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable. And if you remember the games that season against Sunderland, they were probably as big or as big an atmosphere as you can get. It was real local derby, but there was a lot on it. Always
competitive, always tough. Sunderland had a really good side. They were pushing really hard. They had some good players, and you knew you were always in for a tough game. But like I say, I always felt we had the edge. I always felt we had a bit more quality. Nothing's ever given, especially in the Championship. Teams work incredibly hard, but I just felt that when push comes to shove, we had more quality than the vast majority of teams in that league.
So it was all new, also for them. Like the whole place buzzing. They had a good team, and we came there, and we ended up winning. The game was fantastic game.
Emerson goal, for me, standing nearly behind it when he hit it. Again, I talk about quality. You left then in January, didn't you? But you had a part to play. But that strike, again, wow, who wouldn't want to come and see us play? Because every game we played, something might happen. That was a brilliant win because they were on such a high. Sunderland, they were flying at the time. I'd been beaten stadium in like 46. This is a real big club. This is what we do. And then we came in and we shut them up. It was wonderful.
Merson, lovely layoff. Robbie Mustoe, and it's 2-0. Mustoe showed great persistence, but what a lovely touch as well from Paul Merson.
Well, I mean, we would all have wanted to be playing in the Premier League, of course, but we ended up accepting playing in the Championship, and it ended up becoming a season that was very enjoyable, and we played some fantastic football, and we did the job. It wasn't easy because I remember there was like quite a few teams battling for it. There was Nottingham Forest, there was Sunderland, there was us, Charlton. I mean, I think I can remember Sunderland didn't get promoted, but they had like the most points ever for a team that didn't get promoted. It was like really, really, really a tough season.
The Championship is a difficult league anyway. It doesn't matter who you play, whether you're playing a team that's been promoted from the lower leagues into the Championship, or whether you're playing a Premier League team that's come down. And if you look at this league, even now, there's so many quality teams in here, and anybody can beat anybody. Just the whole season was very competitive. You couldn't let your guard down. As soon as you did that, you would get beat. It didn't matter whether it was a team at the bottom of the league or whatever.
Yes, it was very good because the psychology was when you start to win the games, the psychology was very, very good, and we had a very good team spirit in that team, and that was the secret. And also, Brian Robson has been very good to let us to help him with the team. With the player with experience, we help the coach to make also the right decisions.
Robert was great because he'd give you a little bit of license to go and express yourselves, and it wasn't too rigid. So for the most part, he just said, when we're going forward, you just do what you want, go where you want, affect the game, and that's what we did. We were all about goals, and if someone else scored 2, we'd go and score 3 or 4. It was just the way we were. Like you say, we were like that the season before with the little fella, and there was no reason to change it when we were stepping down a level. We always felt we had better players than near enough every team in that league. I think Forest had some good players as well, and I think ultimately they won the league in the end. But I think between us and Forest, we were by far and away the best 2 teams.
You get up into that danger area again, and Hignett and Emerson scores for Middlesbrough. A cracking goal. To feed him through, it's a good ball in. Merson to make it 4 it is.
was out of the blue, really. I can remember just being at home. I can remember feeding me twin daughters. They were only babies then, and the manager at the time at Southampton was Dave Jones, and David rang me and said, we've had a phone call from Middlesbrough. We've accepted an offer from them. It's up to you if you want to go. I knew Middlesbrough were on the up, you know, and Brian Robson had took over, and I just thought it was the right thing to do. I was up the motorway in my car, and I think I was in the office for the stadium for 10 minutes, and the deal was done. Spoke to Andy coming in, but just getting in, I think it takes you, when you move to a new club, it'll take you a good month just to settle in, get to know all the lads. And you know, when you're playing football on the training ground, it's totally different because you get away from everything. It's the other side of it, being in the changing room, you know, the banter that flies around and understanding each other. But you soon get grips with all of that. You soon get to know all the lads, and for me, it was a dream move. The two players that I most admired was Brian Robson and Paul Gascoigne, and then Gazza came. So it was just a fairy tale sort of ending for my career. I went on to play for Darlington, but it was just so memorable, and I had some fantastic times here.
Beating Liverpool over 2 legs, I thought it was a phenomenal feat.
And you've got someone who's scoring goals, as in Paul Merson was, Mikkel Beck was scoring goals. And then you bring in Alan Armstrong, Hamilton Ricard, Gobranka from Inter Milan.
It was strange, and it was something I never really understood, and I never really accepted, but I had to.
I just think the final whistle was quite emotional, as I said to you, because at the start of that season I was so hurt.
Knocked on his door, and I said, Gaffer, look, I've just been told that Middlesbrough put the bid in, and I want to go. Doesn't matter what, I'm going to Middlesbrough.